You know, what if I told you that pretty much everything we've been taught about learning a new language is, well, wrong? Today, we're going to look at a method that basically throws out the old rulebook. It's all about learning only the parts you actually need, which can save you a ridiculous amount of time and frustration.
So, have you ever tried to learn a whole new language? You get all excited, you're super motivated, and then bam, reality hits.
And that reality is, it's just too much. It feels overwhelming, right? If you've ever felt that way, trust me, you are definitely not alone. See, that feeling comes from something we can call the learn everything trap. It's the old school way, and honestly, it's a method that pretty much sets most of us up to fail from the very beginning. Think about it. The standard approach just throws the kitchen sink at you. You're supposed to master all the grammar rules, memorize these gigantic vocabulary lists, figure out a new writing system. Oh, and also practice listening, speaking, and all the little nuances of real conversation. It's just an insane amount of stuff to learn all at once. And all of this creates this huge gap, a massive disconnect between what's in the textbook and what's actually happening in real life. Yeah, look at this. On one side, you've got your textbook learning. It's all formal sentences, theoretical grammar, and sometimes the vocabulary is so outdated it's almost funny. But then you get out into the real world, and people are using shortcuts and patterns. They're using emotional language. They're just trying to get their point across. The difference is night and day. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? When you spend all these hours cramming stuff that you literally never hear anyone say, it feels like a complete waste of time. So, okay, if that's the problem, what's the fix? Well, the solution is actually a huge shift in how we think about this whole process. It's simple, really. Instead of trying to learn everything, we're going to learn only what we need. We call this purpose-based learning. And the whole idea is super straightforward. First, you figure out your goal, your specific goal. And then you only go after the bits and pieces of the language, the specific patterns, the exact vocabulary that you need to achieve that one thing. Okay, let's make this real. For example, what if your goal is just travel? You just want to get by and chat a little with the locals on your next trip. Well, think about what you actually need. You don't need to know how to write a formal essay, right? You don't need a bunch of business jargon. You need the patterns for small talk, for asking for help, for figuring out transportation, ordering food, and understanding how much things cost. That's it. All of a sudden, this massive mountain becomes a few small, totally climbable hills. Okay, but let's flip the script. What if your goal has nothing to do with travel? Maybe it's all about business. For that, you totally ignore all that travel stuff. Instead, you'd zero in on a completely different set of patterns. Things like the language for negotiations, a few key phrases for emails, how to be polite in a professional setting, and reporting language. See, it's a completely different learning plan, but it's just as laser-focused. So, the million-dollar question is, how on earth do you find these super specific pieces of language for your particular goal? Well, this is where a little bit of modern tech comes in. AI can basically become your own personal language department. And this is really the key. Without a tool like AI, trying to do this is almost impossible. I mean, you're not going to find a textbook for Spanish for negotiating software contracts in Argentina, right? And finding a human teacher who can just create a custom curriculum for you on the spot, that's super rare and expensive. But AI can do this. It's like your all-in-one language toolkit. This quote says it all. It can be your dictionary, your grammar teacher, your speaking partner, and even your own personal content creator. Seriously, just think about it. You can literally ask an AI, give me the top 10 phrases for ordering coffee politely in Paris. And it will. It can spit out specific phrases, conversation patterns, the exact vocabulary you need, all with real-life examples. It helps you find those little patterns that you would never ever find in a regular textbook. So what's the big payoff here? Well, it's a total rethink of what it even means to be good at a language. The old way was all about perfection, mastering everything. The new goal, it's just functionality. Can you get your point across? It's not about knowing every single word in the dictionary. It's about being able to actually communicate and interact in the situations that matter to you. That is the real win. And you know what's crazy? You can actually put a time frame on this. Because you're focusing only on the absolute essentials for your goal, you can build a system to get you to that functional level in as little as 90 days. Seriously.
So here's the entire game plan, laid out in 5 steps. It's pretty simple. First, define your purpose. Get crystal clear on that. Second, use AI to hunt down the patterns you need. Third, build yourself a 90-day system. Fourth, focus on real communication, not just textbook exercises. And number 5, and this one is my favorite, you have to give yourself permission to skip all the stuff you don't need. Just let it go.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Just forget about that massive, overwhelming idea of learning an entire language from A to Z. Instead, just ask yourself this. What's the one part of a language that you could learn first that would make the biggest difference for you, right now?